Good morning guys. We are back at it again with another video. So what I'm going to be doing today is comparing a gas chainsaw to an electric chainsaw, and we're going to see the difference with how it cuts and performs through some really nice mesquite hardwood. I should also note that this video is not sponsored either by Echo or by Makita. And if you watch a video that I did not too long ago, when we were having issues with the Echo chainsaw, I didn't necessarily have the most favorable things to say, and I've paid full price out of my own pocket for both of these chainsaws. So before we get chopping up some wood, I do want to say that the battery technology and the motor technology that are in the cordless tools nowadays, compared to when I was working as an electrician, which was about 7 or 8 years ago, is like leaps and bounds better. Like, it is incredible what they're doing with the cordless tools nowadays. And I think for the most part, I'm going to be switching almost all to electric. Now, this video is more catered to somebody that is a DIYer or like a homeowner. I'm not a professional arborist or a professional landscaper, so this is my opinion coming from that perspective. I would say if you are a professional arborist, chances are you're probably not going to be watching this video anyways, because you already know what you need to know. But I will say that the runtime of the electric chainsaw, because I've been using it for the past couple weeks, would certainly make it difficult for a professional arborist or landscaper to want to go full electric, just because you're going to be swapping out the batteries very frequently. And if you don't have a convenient power source, or if you don't have a lot of extra batteries, then it's going to be a long day of waiting for the batteries to charge up so that you can keep cutting. So to make this a fair comparison, I sharpened both of these chainsaw blades this morning. I've got a Granberg blade sharpener. I don't remember the exact model number off the top of my head, but I'll leave a link to it in the description box and in the comment section below if you want to check it out. I think it's a great blade sharpener for the chainsaws. And one thing that I also did is trim down all the depth gauges about 25/1000ths of an inch. So all the depth gauges should be the same on both saw blades. All of them are sharpened. So that's going to make probably the most accurate comparison, because I've seen comparison videos on Instagram and on YouTube, and they don't specify that both blades are sharp or whatnot, because if the chainsaw blade on the Makita is brand new out of the box compared to an old chainsaw blade that is not brand new out of the box and needs to be sharpened, obviously this one is going to cut much faster than the one with the dull blade. Enough chit chat, let's cut some shit up, and then we'll talk about the pros and the cons afterwards. Also, the limb from this mesquite tree looks to be about 7 to 8 inches in diameter, about there. So both chainsaws cut through the limb pretty well the same. There were some differences that I noticed just from my position, but in terms of the time that it took to cut through this, from my perspective, without actually being able to time it, it seemed very similar, but I think I'll do a side-by-side shot of each one cutting just so that you guys can see the difference in terms of time. And this size of limb here is about as big as we get on our property. There might be a few that are bigger here and there, maybe like an actual trunk of the tree. But in terms of the limbs and the things that I'm gonna be cutting, this is about as big as we get out here. We live in southern Arizona, and the trees don't get too massive down here. So from the first shot, I did 5 cuts with each saw. And then from the other side there, I think I did 2 or 3 on each. One thing that I did notice of cutting through this size of log with the gas chainsaw is that it bogged down ever so slightly, just I think due to the thickness of the wood. This is the Echo CS310. And then with the electric saw here, what I noticed is that the power was very consistent throughout the entire cut. So even when I was going right through the meat of the blade, when I was going through the meat of the limb here, it didn't bog down at all, and even as I got right down to the bottom, I didn't notice any difference in terms of the power that was going to the saw. So for me, the most important aspect of using a chainsaw is that it works and I don't have to fudge around with it too much. Since I'm not a professional arborist, I only do tree trimming and doing cleanup of our property periodically. So it's not like I'm using my chainsaw every single day or anything like that. It might be months between times that I'm actually using it. So the nice thing with the electric one is that no matter how long it's just sitting here, as long as the batteries are charged up, it's gonna turn on. Now with the gas chainsaw, it can be working great one day, and then the next day, it just doesn't wanna start up. And that's what I experienced on one of my vlogs for the house build not too long ago. Also, by the way, if you aren't subscribed to my channel, we're gonna be building a full-size ICF home. I'm gonna be doing most of the work myself, so make sure you subscribe to my channel so you can see the updates on that coming up very, very soon. Now with any chainsaw that you buy, you're gonna have to put bar oil in it. So the bar oil goes in this little part at the front here, and you're gonna have to be sharpening the blades on any chainsaw that you get. So between electric and gas, that aspect of the chainsaw is gonna be the same. The main difference is that with a gas chainsaw, obviously you have to put gas in it, whereas electric, you just pop the batteries in and then you're good to go. So with the gas chainsaw, the carburetor settings need to be fiddled around with every once in a while if it's not performing exactly how it should be, as opposed to the electric chainsaw, pop the batteries in, and then you're ready to go. So I think Makita has a deal on the chainsaws and their blowers and some of their outdoor cordless power units like this, that if you buy one of these units, they'll throw in an extra two batteries for free. So it comes with a total of 4 of the 5 amp hour batteries. If they didn't include those 2 extra batteries, this thing probably would be sitting on the shelf because it would be so annoying that I'd basically maybe be able to trim 1 tree, maybe 2 trees and get it all trimmed up. And then I have to wait, maybe 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 50 minutes to get the batteries charged back up again so that I can keep cutting. So with having the extra set of batteries, once I'm done with these 2 batteries, throw them on the charger, swap them out for the other ones, and then I can just keep going. Whereas with a gas chainsaw, you can be out in the middle of nowhere and just be running this thing all day. You just got to bring a small tank of gas with you, and you can just be running it all day long, and you're not going to have to worry about charging up the batteries. So definitely for somebody who lives more kind of rurally, and maybe you don't have easy access to power for some reason, and you're going to be running the saw all day long, definitely gas is certainly the way to go. If you're more of like a DIY homeowner like myself, I would certainly recommend using electric over gas. Just because there's going to be a lot less maintenance issues, and the maintenance required for an electric chainsaw is definitely much more simple. And you also know that as long as the batteries are charged, it should be starting up and you should be cutting some wood. And when it comes down to it, what I need is something that works. So I spent like 2 or 3 hours one morning trying to get this thing started. And those are 2 or 3 hours of my life that I'm never going to get back. So that can be really annoying and frustrating, especially since I have time constraints and I want to be efficient with my time and not be wasting it. So this wasted me 2 or 3 hours of my morning whereas this it'll just go. That's more important to me in my current situation. I just need something that is gonna work, something that I can rely on, that it's just gonna turn on. I've used two-stroke motors ever since I was a kid. I had a yard cutting service, I think that I started, I was like 12 or 13 years old. And so I've been using two-stroke motors for a very long time. I had a blower and I had a trimmer, and I just don't remember having that many issues with them. Granted, it was like 20 years ago, but I just never remember having so many issues that I've had, not only with this Echo chainsaw, but I've also got the blower, or kind of like the weed whacker with the blower attachment on it. It just seems like I just can't get these things started and for them to run properly how they should. So it's just kind of frustrating for me. I just need something that works. So I'm always going to gravitate towards something like this as opposed to fussing around with gas. That being said, as the battery technology and the motor technology improve in these cordless tools, you're going to note that they're going to basically have longer run times, they're going to have more power, but that's just going to come with technology improvement. But I think for how this saw is right now, it's definitely worthwhile. Anyways, guys, I hope that helps you make a more educated purchase as opposed to thinking, I gotta go electric or I gotta go gas. You gotta understand what your needs are before you invest in something like this, because they're not cheap. I think this is at least 200 bucks, and with the, and I think this was close to 400, so I think it was about 350 when I got it. So definitely decide on the one that is gonna be easier for you in the future. Especially with this, you never have to buy gas for it. You just plug your batteries in and then you're good to go. So it's just one less thing that you have to do, and there's no like tune-ups that you have to do with anything like this. It'll just run. Awesome, guys. Thanks so much for watching. If anybody wants to buy this off of me, let me know. Just joking. It's good to have a backup, but I'm definitely going to be using this all the time from now on. And since I'm not in a huge time crunch in terms of like, I got to get all these trees trimmed down today, I can take my time with this and have the batteries recharged up, and then we're good to go. Awesome, guys. Thanks so much for watching. I'll catch you on the next video. Talk to you soon. Peace.